Hello, everyone. Welcome back, Iron Sentinel. This morning, the world was shaken not by an earthquake, but by the sound of missiles, explosions, and a strike that ripped through the very heart of Israel's intelligence network. Reports confirm that Mossad's headquarters was bombed in a coordinated operation that many analysts believe carried the fingerprints of both Iran and Russia. What makes this moment so shocking is not only the scale of destruction, but the symbolism. The intelligence agency that has long been portrayed as untouchable, capable of striking in any corner of the globe, has now itself become the victim of a devastating attack. The shockwaves are not limited to Tel Aviv. They are being felt in Washington, Moscow, Thrawn, and every capital city where military and intelligence chiefs are asking the same question: how did this happen? And what comes next? From the outside, the picture of the conflict is dramatic and dangerous. Israel has long enjoyed an image of overwhelming superiority, protected by a web of alliances, armed with the most advanced defense systems, and supported unconditionally by the United States. The exterior view of Israel's defenses has been one of strength, deterrence, and unbroken resilience. Yet what unfolded this morning reveals that exterior images can be illusions. Russian intervention has shifted the battlefield overnight. Surveillance planes operating quietly from Syrian airspace, electronic warfare units deployed near the Mediterranean, and naval ships off the coast have all converged to give Iran an unprecedented edge. The exterior landscape is now a chessboard where Israel is no longer the sole power broker, but instead faces a coalition of adversaries that can match and even overwhelm its capabilities. The skies once thought to be locked down by Iron Dome and Arrow now seem penetrable, and the streets of Tel Aviv now echo with fear, not confidence. Inside the picture, the reality is even more disturbing. The Mossad has for decades been celebrated as one of the most effective and feared intelligence agencies in the world, with networks stretching across continents, controlling information, and often shaping the outcomes of conflicts before they even began. But the bombing of its headquarters exposes cracks that no one expected to see. For an adversary to locate, target, and successfully strike such a facility, either major intelligence failures occurred, or insiders betrayed secrets once thought impossible to obtain. The short truth is that Israel's interior shield of secrecy, once its strongest weapon, has been pierced. This moment suggests that adversaries are operating inside Israel's walls, not just outside them. When we examine the performance of the actors involved, the scale of coordination becomes clear. Russia has managed to project power into the Middle East in a way that even the Soviet Union could not achieve at the height of the Cold War. By leveraging Syria as a forward operating base, by deploying advanced S-400 and S-500 radar systems, and by integrating their intelligence with Iranian operatives, Moscow has demonstrated that it can blind Israeli defenses long enough to allow precise strikes to succeed. This is not only a performance in military coordination, but a direct message to Washington that Russia can open new fronts at will. Iran's performance is equally astonishing. For decades dismissed by the West as a regional power limited by sanctions, Iran has now demonstrated that it can plan, coordinate, and execute strikes at the very heart of Israel. The precision of the attack on Mossad shows not only access to intelligence, but also mastery of weapons systems, drones, ballistic missiles, and possibly hypersonic technology that are now proving capable of defeating the best defenses the West has developed. Israel's performance, by contrast, has faltered dramatically. The rapid failure of air defenses to intercept the incoming strike, the lack of early warning, and the inability to protect its own intelligence headquarters are being viewed worldwide as a collapse in deterrence. For a nation that built its identity on never being vulnerable again, today's performance signals weakness. The safety features that were supposed to shield Israel and its people have been exposed as unreliable. For years, Iron Dome was marketed as a nearly impenetrable shield, intercepting rockets and preserving civilian safety. Yet this time the system either malfunctioned, was saturated by the sheer volume of incoming fire, or was blinded by Russian electronic warfare interference. David's sling and the Arrow system, designed to counter higher-level threats, also failed to react in time. Beyond missile defenses, Israel's reliance on secrecy and compartmentalization to protect Mossad has also collapsed. The illusion of safety has been punctured. On the Russian and Iranian side, however, safety is built differently. Russia cloaks itself in plausible deniability, insisting it is merely observing regional developments while providing direct electronic support to Iran. Iran uses proxies, Hezbollah, Hamas, and militia networks across Syria and Iraq as its buffer, ensuring that strikes cannot always be directly traced back to Thrawn. These layers of protection serve as their safety features, keeping them secure from immediate retaliation. What makes this intervention so unique is the combination of actors and methods. For the first time in modern history, a global power like Russia has aligned operationally with a regional power like Iran to conduct a strike on one of America's closest allies. This is not simply about missiles or drones. It is about a strategic partnership that blends conventional power with asymmetric tactics. The uniqueness also lies in the symbolism. Never before has Mossad, the very symbol of Israeli intelligence supremacy, suffered a strike on its home ground. The message to Israel is unmistakable. You are not invincible. The message to the United States is equally chilling. Your allies can be broken, your guarantees can be challenged, and your influence can be diminished. This unique combination of symbolism and strategy sets this event apart from countless other conflicts in the region. The price of these actions is staggering. For Israel, the immediate cost is the loss of lives, infrastructure, and the prestige of its intelligence services. The broader price is the psychological shock delivered to its citizens who now feel vulnerable in ways they have not since the earliest days of the state's existence. Economically, Israel faces a collapsing market, rising uncertainty, and the likely withdrawal of investors wary of instability. Militarily, it will now be forced to divert resources from offensive actions into defensive operations, stretching its already pressured forces thin. For Russia, the price comes in the form of Western sanctions, increased hostility from NATO, and the risk of overextending its military commitments. But the Kremlin appears willing to pay this cost, betting that the chaos inflicted on the West is worth the risks. Iran's price is even more dangerous. While it has earned prestige across the region, it now faces the risk of Israeli retaliation that could escalate into direct strikes on its homeland. Yet for Tehran, the humiliation of Israel and the validation of its military power outweigh those risks. And for the world at large, the price is terrifying. The Middle East is no longer a regional battleground, but a proxy theater for a global confrontation that could spiral out of control. The conclusion is as chilling as it is clear. The bombing of Mossad headquarters is not a single event. It is a historical marker. It signals that the era of Israeli invulnerability is over. It demonstrates that Russia is willing to step into the Middle East conflict with both feet, risking global escalation. It shows that Iran has matured into a power capable of striking not only at Israel's borders, but at its core. The chain reaction that will follow could reshape alliances, redraw maps, and plunge the world into a broader war. Israel will retaliate, perhaps with cyber strikes against Moscow, perhaps with air strikes deep into Iran, or perhaps through assassinations of key figures believed to have orchestrated today's events. The United States will be forced to respond either by increasing its military presence or by tightening economic news, both of which carry risks of escalation, and Russia, emboldened by the success of today's operation, may open new fronts from Europe to Asia. The world must now reckon with the reality that we are not watching isolated events, but the first act of a larger confrontation. This morning's events show that intelligence fortresses can fall, air defenses can fail, and alliances can shift overnight. In this new era, no nation is truly safe, and no superpower can guarantee the outcomes of conflicts it once thought it controlled. The shocking truth is that the Middle East has once again become the spark in the powder keg of global power, and this time the fuse is burning faster than